a kick, a regather, a try for the Melbourne Genius.
Pappenhausen accelerates onto the ball, shows it as if he's going to kick it, and then just slices through.
Now, Slater again. Oh, Slater is carving it up.
He's not just a big body, he's quick, he can move, he's evasive.
Back inside for Slater. Billy Slater will score.
Hello, welcome to Billy's Breakdown for this week. Bill, good to see you.
Danica.
Now, it's been a really interesting round so far. We've seen a lot of blowout scores, some really dominant teams and some teams struggling.
Yep.
Is looking at this, should the NRL be worried?
I think a little concerning. I think it can be a little concerning. We still have 2 rounds to go in the competition, and to have, well, it looks like some teams already checked out and looking for the off-season can be a bit of a concern. Is
it just highlighted at this time of the year because you do have those teams who know that they're no longer in finals contention?
Yep. Yeah, I think so. I think it's a combination of teams that know they can't make the finals and also some other teams that are really searching for form, or not so much form, but improvement in form, looking to be at their best in September. So a combination of that and the discrepancy between the best teams and the worst teams, I think, is starting to become separate.
When you're looking at these score lines and then the fact that we've got the Dolphins coming into the competition next year, is it a little bit worrying, or are we jumping at shadows?
Without a shadow of doubt. I think it can be worrying. It's only going to dilute the competition even more. There's going to be 2 or 3 good players from each team go to the Dolphins to make them competitive. So, yeah, I think I'm sure the game's looking at these issues and making sure that the development of our high-end players are coming through and becoming consistent first graders, and that's our entertainment product at the end of the day. So the game would have to have a duty of care to look at that.
Well, one of the Dolphins' new recruits for next year, we saw him in fine form, Sean O'Sullivan, in the Panthers game against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Panthers winning that game, but if this is going to be a precursor to the finals, boy, we're in for a great finals campaign.
Yeah, you can see what being at a good club does for your development. And Sean O'Sullivan, I thought he was the best player on the field. It was a high quality game against South Sydney, and his kicking game was great. He was heavily involved with the football, made his tackles. He was a really valued member of that Panthers team and doing a great job in that number 7 jersey while Nathan Cleary's out.
And that's the thing, impressive as well, considering the players that the Penrith Panthers are missing at the moment.
No Luai, Fisher Harris, and obviously Cleary. And I think they got back to their physical presence and the way they started the game against South, and they really intimidated them through the middle of the field, and that set up their victory. It was a really close game. They scored a try right at the end to win the game, but it puts them in good stead going into the finals when they get that quality back in their team.
Well, what do the Panthers take out of that performance against South Sydney and that win?
Yeah, I think the habits that they've continually created over the last 3 years. They've created really good habits and setting up their game, and I just mentioned that physicality at the start of the game, and if they can continually build on that over the next 2 weeks, and then they'll get Jerome Luai back, James Fisher-Harris and their key man Nathan Cleary, they'll come back with a lot of motivation in their team, and they're still the team to beat.
And what about South Sydney? Some really impressive parts in their game. Latrell Mitchell, is he the key to their finals hopes?
Yeah, he's one of the keys. I think, obviously, Cody Walker's the other guy. Damien Cook, there's not a whole heap spoken about Damien Cook, so if he can increase the involvement in his game, he can be a real threat out of dummy half. And I thought they were really physical last week against the Parramatta Eels, and if they can bring that sort of physicality and give the likes of Latrell and Cody the freedom to play their football, they're really dangerous. So, yeah, all bets aren't off for South Sydney right now.
Right, well, let's have a little bit of a closer look at the Sharks. We're going to get you on the analyzer here to break down some of their plays, movements, and it's Nicho Hynes?
They're the sleeping giants, the Sharks. I think everyone's got them probably 4th or 5th in their what would you call it? Their race to the Premiership. But I think they're just going under the radar, and they're playing a great brand of football. I love the way that their halves connect and they play to their strengths. And what I want to highlight here today is the way that Matt Moylan and Nicho Hynes combine. And Nicho Hynes went to the Sharks as a number 7, and you can see him here. But he plays to his strengths. He knows he's a good fullback, and as we let it roll here, there's Nicho Hynes chasing a kick. This is the first try of the match. Matt Moylan, the playmaker, and the other guy that they identify, Tolu Kola, he's in the line. So there's an opportunity to kick. They put on the play. Nicho Hynes chases like a fullback, gets the bounce and scores the try. Now, Nicho's second try in the second half, again, there's those two guys hanging around each other. Matt Moylan, Nicho Hynes. Nicho Hynes playing that ball running role and Matt Moylan the ball player. The ball goes short to Fafita. Hynes is on the offload like a fullback and scores the try. And this one, the Ikuvalu try, I think this one typifies the way that they think about their football. There they are again together, Nicho Hynes and Matt Moylan, the 6 and the 7. But just watch Nicho play like that fullback. The halfback is traditionally your organiser, kicking game, and Nicho does do that for the Sharks, but he also plays to his strengths as a fullback and gets out a little bit wider and as a runner, and he's got that beautiful pass on him.
Is that a credit to Craig Fitzgibbon as well, allowing his players to play to their strengths?
Well, I think as a coach, you want to get your players to play the best football that they can, and I think pigeonholing Nicho Hynes into a traditional halfback role would do that. But Craig Fitzgibbon has just created this accountability around him to give him that freedom, and the players around, you can see on that Ikuvalu try, they gave Nicho plenty of time and width to use his skill. So Craig Fitzgibbon, Josh Hannay, they've all done a fantastic job down there at the Shire, and they're the sleeping giants. Just be careful of the Sharks.
Yeah, we could be hearing up Cronulla for a few weeks to come.
You never know. You never know.
All right, that is all we have time for this week's episode of Billy's Breakdown. Enjoy the footy and we'll see you again next week.